If you were looking for an affordable option when it comes to sublimation printing, then you're not going to want to miss this video. Hey, what is going on? The printer guy here. And in this video, I wanted to talk to you about what is the most affordable or one of the most affordable options for you to do sublimation printing at home. If this video ends up being helpful, please make sure to like the video. Any questions at all, comment below. And if you want more content like this, please make sure to subscribe. Now, I wanted to get into the meat of this video really quickly. And I recently put together a setup for sublimation printing, and I was able to do it very affordably. I think for under $400. My price with all the materials included ended up being just under $400. The portion of that cost was the printer itself that I ended up using and sublimation ink. Now, all the products I end up talking about here in this video are going to be linked down in the description below. And the very first link is going to be the sublimation ink that I used. That is, of course, the most important part of this process. Now, I do have some other content around sublimation printing. It is a topic that is growing on my channel. So the printer that I ended up using was an Epson EcoTank printer, specifically the Epson EcoTank 2400 model. This was an excellent model because it is one of the more affordable Epson EcoTank models. Of course, you can go up, pay a little bit more money for a better Epson EcoTank printer, but if you're just doing sublimation printing, I found that this is the best option because when you have a sublimation printer, you don't necessarily need an automatic document feeder, which is that paper feeder that is on the top. You don't need high volumes of paper capability and high volume printing. You're printing a few designs at a time. You really don't even need a display on the front of the printer, and that's really what adds cost and makes the Epson EcoTank lineup specifically and other printers more expensive. So for the Epson EcoTank 2400 model, I was able to pay $173 for the printer itself, and I was very easily able to convert it into a sublimation printer. I actually initially had put in regular ink, and I ended up converting it into a sublimation printer. I do have a video showing you how I did that conversion, so that is an option. If you currently already have an Epson EcoTank printer, that would be an excellent option for you to not have to buy a separate printer. Now, I think that it is a great idea to have two different printers. Of course, your Epson EcoTank maybe, or another model for regular printing and another one for sublimation printing. So about half of the cost of my sublimation printing was the printer itself, and this is a very affordable option. The sublimation ink that I ended up using was also a very affordable option, and it's actually a Best Printers branded ink, which is the ink that we sell in-house here on this channel. I'll put up on the screen, there were some different designs I was able to do, some t-shirt designs. I was able to do some sublimating onto a metal sign as well, and I really was able to get into sublimation printing at a really low price point and start the process. I also used a low budget heat press. That heat press that I ended up using, that's right here behind me here in my studio, actually was less than $100. So all of the things that I put together for my sublimation printing, where I was able to successfully sublimate onto, as I said, shirts, metal signs, and you really can sublimate onto anything with this setup for under $400, and the printer specifically just under $200. If you add the ink, you can round it up and say with the sublimation printer, the Epson EcoTank 2400, and the sublimation ink that you can get from the link down in the description below, is right around $200. That is not a bad price at all, considering that you can really end up spending a lot of money when it comes to sublimation printing. You can get really expensive when it comes to the Sawgrass printers, when it comes to some of the more expensive heat presses that there are on the market, even with the Epson EcoTank printers. Now, if you needed a larger format printer like the Epson EcoTank 15000 or 8550 or 8500, those are going to cost a lot more, and you really don't have an option. If you need larger formats, those are the Epson EcoTank printers you would want to go with. But if you're just doing some basic designs and you really don't need to go past 8.5 by 11 on the paper size that you're printing on, the sublimation paper, then this printer will do just fine. If you end up getting, for example, an Epson EcoTank 4850, you're going to end up getting a better Epson EcoTank printer for regular printing. But when it comes to sublimation printing, all the bells and whistles that you get with that model are not going to apply necessarily. You don't need all of the additional features that that printer has. So that's why my top choice for sublimation printing is the Epson EcoTank 2400 model. Now, what about the results? Are you going to get better results with one Epson EcoTank printer over over another? Not really, because you're using the same ink. It's sublimation ink, and it's the same print head and same printing process really that you have with the less expensive over the more expensive printer models. So I found that when comparing to other people that had sublimated, the quality that I was able to get, there was no question about the quality that I was able to produce from printing with the Epson EcoTank 2400, having converted it. Overall, I was very happy with the results and currently still have this setup. So if you had any questions past this video or anything that I have on my channel, make sure to leave a question or comment down in the comment section below. The way that I was actually able to print my designs from my computer to my Epson EcoTank 2400 was wirelessly. I did not have to connect with a USB cable, although it does have a USB cable port. So it was very seamless. Now I'm using a Mac computer. I was able to connect, download the driver for the Epson EcoTank 2400 on this Mac computer. And so if you have a Windows computer, it's going to be even easier to install the driver and to print wirelessly from your computer to your printer. You can even print directly from your smartphone. So you have a lot of wireless capability when it comes to the Epson EcoTank 2400, just like all of the other higher end models. And my point in mentioning all of this is that along the way, you may have seen someone that has maybe a higher featured or higher model in the Epson EcoTank lineup. The whole point of this video is to show you really that you don't have to spend over $200 to get a really good sublimation setup, especially if you're going to be doing this sporadically. You're not going to be doing as many of these sublimation prints. One quick note on maintenance for this printer, and now this really applies even when you're doing regular printing, is you want to make sure to print regularly. You don't want this printer to sit. So even if you're doing sporadic sublimation printing every once in a while, maybe every other month you're doing some sublimation printing and not really much past that, well, what you're going to want to do is make sure that you are printing at least every 2 weeks a full color design, and it could even be on sublimation paper, but it doesn't necessarily have to be on sublimation paper. It could be on regular paper, so you don't waste your sublimation paper. But every 2 weeks, cycle through a design, maybe a design that you have just sitting there on your computer, or really preferably something with multiple colors. And that's really going to get all of the ink nozzles working so that there are no clogs that develop. That is the one issue that you could develop over time, but as long as you're consistently printing, you're going to be able to avoid that problem. Another consideration for the Epson EcoTank 2400 model is the maintenance box. Over time, maybe in about 6 months to a year, you will most likely have to change out the maintenance box, but that applies to if you're printing regularly and also with sublimation. But just throwing that in here so that you kind of have some broader information about this printer. All right, so I really hope that this video ended up helping you with kind of identifying one of the most affordable printers that you could use, along with the sublimation ink, all linked down in the description below, to get you printing your sublimation designs at an affordable price and have a setup that is simple yet efficient and high quality. That's really what you're gonna get. Also check out my video, Beginner's Guide to Sublimation Printing, $399 easy setup, and that's the amount that I paid for the really simple setup to do my initial sublimation printing projects. Hopefully you found value in this video. If it was, please make sure to like. Any questions at all, comment below. If you want more content like this, please make sure to subscribe, and remember all the product links down in the description below. Thank you so much for watching until the end of this video. I handpicked 2 videos that are here on the screen for you to watch next. Also consider subscribing to this channel. There's so much helpful content for you if you're a printer owner, and it's just good to have a resource like this for you in the future, whether you're dealing with a printer that's not printing well or you need more printer recommendations. So I look forward to seeing you again in another video.